to be honest in every single situation. So some verses on this. Isaiah 59, conceiving and uttering from the heart. This is a prayer where conceiving and uttering from the heart lying words, justice is turned back and righteousness stands far away. So when you conceive and utter lying words, justice goes away and righteousness stands far away. For truth has stumbled in the public squares and uprightness cannot enter. If you lose people's faith in your word, if you lose that reputation of being truthful and being honest, you can kiss your career goodbye in the business world. It's just that important. People have to know that you're going to tell the truth. And this is the prayer. Sorry, I had this 1 second. Prayer in Proverbs. The writer says, talks to the Lord, and he says, remove falsehood and lies far from me. This is not an easy thing to do. You know, as I think about it, sometimes I tell little white lies every single day. You think about it. You lie to yourself. You lie to others. You don't say things you should have said. You say things that are a little bit colored, or a little less true. This is a hard one. This is one you need to pray about. This is one you need to pray and say, Lord, help me to be truthful. Just like the writer of Proverbs prayed. Remove falsehood and lies far from me. And it's just some anecdotes. Just a couple situations I had. I better check the watch, see how I'm doing. Oh, my goodness. I'll be real quick. When I was at the Metropolitan, I was a CFO, my first CFO job, and the president liked to do accounting that was incorrect. If you know the retail method of accounting, you're supposed to take markdowns, and when you mark down a product, you take the cost charge to the books and your income statement for that markdown. Well, this person liked to take markup cancellations, where he just took the markup, lowered the gross margin, kept inventory the same, even though the goods were lower. So that pretty much made the books and the profit wrong, inventory overstated, and over time you would put the company out of business. So I saw that, told the president he was doing that, we couldn't do that anymore. He says, no, we want to still do that. I need to show profit, and I need to do that. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? Most auditors don't understand the retail method of accounting. A lot of them don't. If they haven't had retail clients, the ones we did didn't understand it. So I tried to point the auditors where this problem was. They couldn't find it. It was driving me crazy. I said, I don't know what to do. I can't tell them what it is. So finally, after a few manipulations, I kind of guided them down the path. They knew something was wrong, but they didn't know what it was. So they found it. They told the owner. The owner fired everybody on the executive committee. So I was without a job, but yet I felt like it was the right thing to do. I was loyal to my boss, but at the same time account for the books accurately. And so I had to suffer, you know, and I was fired for doing the right thing in my estimation. Another time, because every time when you behave faithfully on the job, it's not always going to be good. There isn't a direct line to, if I'm good and I'm faithful on the job, everything's going to turn out right. Well, sometimes it doesn't. I had a boss who, best I could term it, was an immoral boss. You know, I had a boss that hired me at Lerner's, and he was a great boss, and he retired. And the new one was a woman who'd never been CEO before, and did a lot of things wrong. I'm running out of time, so I'll just give you the main one. The main one was she was dating a guy who was a vendor, and this vendor made dresses for us. And he wanted us to finance $22 million worth of fabric so that he can make dresses. Well, I know that when the retailer commits to fabric and pays money for fabric, fabric can go out of style in a heartbeat. If you have the wrong fabric, you can write it off and it can be worthless overnight. So this vendor didn't want to take a risk of owning that fabric. He wanted us to pay for it. So I basically said no. The president got mad at me. And when I said no, and I said, I can't put the company at risk, even though I know he's your boyfriend and you want him to have this risk off his books, I can't put the company at risk. And she said, well, the other division of Limited I worked for, they did it for me. I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So she convinced the chairman of the board to fire me. So she fired me. And when she fired me, I didn't have to be loyal anymore because I was fired. So I went to the chairman of the company and I said, well, here's what's going on at Learners. And he said, well, I will pay you. You stay off the books. I'll give you some other assignments to do, and we're going to investigate her. Well, they investigated her, found that she was doing all the things that I said she was doing. They fired her and brought me back. So whenever you've been fired for a company, and then, you know, I was on the cover of Forbes magazine for this in '95, so you could look it up if you wanted to. But as I came back, everybody was calling me, you know, this is one of the reasons you know that they know you're a Christian, because they were calling me Lazarus. And I just really didn't feel right staying there, because they had changed things that I put into place. They had fired a couple of people that I had hired, and I just didn't feel comfortable there. So I told the chairman, I'm going to go find another job unless you have something else for me. That's when he said, well, we bought this little sporting goods company in Indianapolis called Galleons, and when I went to see the store, I fell in love with it, and that's why I ended up working there. But sometimes you're going to take some heavy hits, and sometimes it'll work out like that one, and sometimes it won't. But we only get a few opportunities to be faithful and to do things the right way. So let me just tell you, well, I'm not getting the last slide. Anybody know? Wait a minute, here we go. So I'll be real quick here. You know, one thing that when I learned that I had to focus on other people and not on myself, I really tried to research what I really wanted in a person. What are the things that I really wanted to see? And so I came up with 5 things. I like 5 things. Most things I do are in 5s. And so the 5 things that I wanted to really look for in a prospective employee, because it was the things that I valued the most and the things that determined whether if a person had these characteristics, it could help be a part of a team that would be successful versus one that's not. So one is fanatical execution, and so we've got a few minutes. Fanatical execution mindset. Now, fanatical means zeal, having a tremendous desire and passion for something. And execution is just executing the task that you have. It's just getting it done right. And so my experience was, in every business I've been at, the ones that win are the ones that execute. Whether I coached a basketball team, you know, the most talented basketball team, as we saw from the tournament, doesn't always win. It's the one that can execute the game plan that wins. And where each team player does exactly what his or her role is on the team to execute the plan. And this, more than anything else, I found has differentiated success in organizations versus non-success. And some people are executors and some people are not. It gives you a tremendous advantage for change. You know, if you're going down a path and it's not working and you want to change it, the company that can execute is a company that can change on a dime and react differently and go in a different direction. The company that struggles with change is one that's going to have a tough time. So how do you determine that? You know, I can give you lots of examples. I'll give you one. When I went to the Limited, the first couple months, sales started decreasing. And everybody was kind of scrambling as to what are we going to do. All of a sudden, this new batch of inventory was terrible. So the president of the company got everybody together, all the executives. We went to one store in Northland Mall in Ohio, and we rearranged the whole store. We worked there from 7 o'clock at night when the store closed till 12 midnight and looked at all the merchandise coming in, repriced everything, relayed everything out in the store. And I went home that night, and you know, in my experience, I've never quite seen that. That was great. You know, the team got together and went to the store and figured out what they should do. And I said, okay, let's see what they're going to do with this. So the next day I came in, and the regional manager was responsible for writing up that game plan, we called it. And it was a direction for all the stores around the country to change the floor set to this new layout and change all the prices and rearrange all the clothes. So I thought, oh, okay, that's good. And he said to me, he says, I wrote this up all night. I want you to send this Federal Express to the stores. And I said, oh, wait, we got 500 stores. Federal Express was $12 a piece. That's $6,000. Oh, my goodness, I'm responsible for expenses. I really didn't want to spend the money. But I thought, boy, they went through all the effort. All the executives went there, worked all night. This guy stayed up all night writing this direction up for the stores. I can't say no. So, okay, we'll send it to Federal Express. So we sent it to Federal Express for delivery the next day. And then the following day, the president comes up to me and he says, Joe, what are you doing today? I says, well, I got this plan, but I can change it. What do you want me to do? He says, I want you to go to the stores with me. I said, why? He says, well, I want to see if they executed what I gave them yesterday. I kind of chuckled to myself. And I said, wow, they're never going to get this right. My experience is you send something to the store, it's 10%